So a lot of folks out there who are listening, they're obsessed with companies, right? Starting companies, but a lot of them may not have the skills. So if you're, I guess, 25, 35, 45, and you are starting over and you want to eventually own a company, but what would you do now to acquire that skill to become that entrepreneur that you want to be like?
So I think, just getting the sense of the energy of the podcast and the audience, I think the first thing we have to really do here is take a step back. I think we need to understand when there are bubbles and when there are trends that are going to hurt people. And this notion for people that are under 25 that starting a company is kind of become the going to grad school, has become going to college, has become I've got to save for retirement, I have to buy a home, I have to get married. Like it has become like standard. Yeah. And I think that's insane and scary because that is literally like going to the NBA has become standard. Yeah. Like it is very hard to build a very big business. Yeah. Like most people will never build a business that makes $1 million. Like 99% of people don't have the ability or will ever achieve running a business that makes $1 million in profit, let alone the audacity and it's awesome. I mean, blind youth, listen, I win on not knowing much. Like you guys just said, hey, sorry, it's a directional, not I'm like, what are you, like, I don't know anything. But the one thing I've always known is how to make money and build a business. And it's crazy, a rock star entrepreneur, those two words were never together just 7 years ago. Yeah. Like this has become a real thing that is a bubble. It's a bubble. Now, does that mean that person on the other side of this can't build a business? Absolutely not. But I think you need to start with self-awareness. There's a lot of good kids, a lot of people out there that are really good workers, are really smart, super organized, like have unbelievable amounts of skills. And my biggest fear, and I say this a lot, is, oh shit, this is going to be the era where a lot of people could have went and been number 13 at Reddit, number 41 at Facebook, number 109 at Google and Yahoo. Instead, they think they need to be number 1 at Laundryland. And they're going to waste a lot of money, a lot of time. Now, the reason a lot of people have done this is there's been a lot of easy money. Yep. There's been so much money in venture capital. Now, that easy money has been really directed mainly towards white males from good schools. So it's not like, when people are listening, they're like, what is he talking about? Like, I understand what I'm talking about, but I also understand how not everybody's been able to get to it. By the way, I would have never been able to get to it because even though I'm a white male, I was a shit student. And as a matter of fact, we were talking before and you said, hey, so remind me about the fund. I was like, no, I've had a $25 million fund. I was about to raise a $150 million fund, but I put it on the side. But when I was going through that 2 years ago, on the back of investing in Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Uber and all these things before they popped, on the back of that, there were still family offices that didn't want to write me checks because I went to Mount Ida College, not Stanford. And I was like, and I loved it. Like I love losing. Like I like getting punched in the mouth. I just thought it was ludicrous. I'm like, wow, you literally think a piece of paper matters more than fucking results. I'm not talking shit. I did shit. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, nonetheless, man, there's a lot to cover here, but the biggest thing and the reason I'm starting with this rant is please don't think you have to. Please, here's a good one. If you're 22 years old and you never sold shit growing up, you've got a problem convincing me that you're going to build some big time business. Like if you didn't sell blow pops, if you didn't download music on CDs and flip them, if you didn't do what I did, which was, man, I was lemonade stand at 5, raking leaves, washing cars. I'm Jewish and sang fucking Christmas carols for $1. So like baseball, like cards, like that was my whole life. Yeah. And I just think a lot of people who are academia or, by the way, who I value, like the people that I plan on making multimillionaires are people that have those skills because I don't. And you need a team. Not everybody's the quarterback. Somebody's the left tackle. You need a punter. You need them all. Everybody's got to be a startup founder or because they think they can. Here's the problem. In business, it's different than singing. On American Idol, back in the day, when you went in front of Simon, when we all watched those first 2 episodes where they showed all the bad people, nobody was confused that you sucked, right? But with business, it takes some time to figure out if you suck. Yeah. Like it feels like anybody can start. And then when everybody got checks, like free money, like everybody built businesses that they were losing money every month.
Exactly.
This town that we're sitting in right now, the last 7 years, what I've watched, it doesn't take a hero to raise $2 million and then lose $30,000 a month until you run out and then start over and be like, I learned something. So it's a broken game, but it's an incredible game. I'm not trying to stop anybody from doing it. Here's what I would say. Don't amass debt to start a business if you don't know you're good. Fine if you want to raise capital from other people, but remember when you lose, they remember. And when you're 27 and you've got a scarlet letter on your chest and nobody good ever wants to fuck with you, that's bad. It's definitely bad if you lost your aunt's money because that's just weird. You know, and so if they want to be successful, here's my 2 cents on this. I think kids should go work for people for free and keep it humble for the first 3 years, free to as little as possible. I think every one of you in this room should like live in the same 1-bedroom apartment, but work for the best person you can get in front of for free because the IP, the intelligence, the watching how people do it. I promise you, Maribel, who's sitting across from me, who's on my team in the office CEO and special projects, you know, she's got her master's, she's got all this. Listen, she may not agree because she doesn't always agree with me, which I love her for that. But like, I know she learned a lot this last year and it's different than what you learn in the classroom. You can't learn it. It's like sports. Like you could read books about how to play basketball, but until you get on the court, the fuck? And that's what's happening. And so, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I just want practicality back in the system because I think you have to understand, people wrap their self-esteem up in their business. You start a new business, you're 24, you're telling your mom, you're telling your homies, you're like, I got this business, and you're fucking flashing it, and you put entrepreneur in the title of your Instagram, and you're on blast now. And when it fails, all your self-esteem goes with it. And I want to remind everybody, 99% are going to fail. This isn't 50. So like everybody who's saying like, but I'm going to break through, cool. But like 99% are going to fail. Plus the economy's been phenomenal for 9 years in a row now. So all the kids, if you're like, you've got to be 32 to even basically kind of remember when shit was bad. So if you're under 32, you've never been punched in the fucking mouth. So you don't even know the difference. You think it's just always going to be like this. You don't know what it really looks like. You're not winning and building a business during easy times. The fuck are you think is going to happen when no money is around? So I'm concerned, but I'm optimistic. I just wish people got real with themselves.
And you say a lot about like working 9 to 5s and like working for free is one thing, but you also talked about how like making time is an interesting thing. So during the job, while you're saving money, you can do a lot of things with those extra hours to continue to develop skills. Like, can you kind of elaborate a little bit more about that?
Look, I think we're talking about our lives. So when you're talking about your life, my big thing is like, you better go, like a lot of people like Gary Vee peddles like all hustle and it's not healthy. I'm like, look, I talk about sleeping 6-7 hours a day. I want everybody to sleep. I'm just curious about the other 16. You know, I'm curious about your 16 hours. I don't know. I'm programmed every minute. Like cause I'm ambitious, cause I want it. And so, you know, I'm struggling. There's a lot of 24-year-olds who've watched the entire season of Crown. And I'm just like, yo, if you're going to be a billionaire, like that's a bad idea. Like, you know, and like, and they're dominant at Candy Crush, and they're real Call of Duty gangsters, and like they've listened to like every new album the second it comes out. Like they're just spending a lot of time. And listen, you should have leisure, you should have escapism. You do you. Everybody's got different DNA. My big thing is like people complain and people talk shit. And if you do either one of those two, I need to see you working. And so you could be working 9 to 6, paying off your college debt. I'm just curious about what's happening 7:30 to midnight. And when I start looking at those 4.5, 5 hours, when I really get in deep and get to know a kid, or like if I have a real conversation, when I start hearing 2 of those 4.5 hours are being wasted times 5 days a week, times 7 days a week, in a world where I know what I did, and I also know what the people that I've seen be successful did, which is it's obsession. It's every minute. And there's
168 hours in a week, like you said.
And I think also like growing up with immigrant parents, like Timur and I immigrated from Ukraine when we were 11, and seeing how hard our parents work, like they moved to a new country without knowing a word of English. My dad was working at a factory. My mom was like doing like she was like working at like a various like maid roles, and
right,
just
cleaning fucking people's shit.
And they were working like 10, 12 hours a day, and then coming home and trying to like maintain a family. And I think just seeing that, and I know you talk a lot about your family and how hard you worked. Just I think the whole mindset of like the immigrant mindset, I wish more people have adopted it and just kind of understood what it takes, how hard other people work.
My man, when you talk about entrepreneurship, immigrants have a ridiculous advantage because they know the alternative. If you're born in America, the richest fucking country in the world, even if you're not that good, you're still soft compared to the rest of the world. Like, I have a lot of friends who grew up super humbly. Like, I went to Mount Ida College. 90% of the college was African-American and Latino, and like some ghetto kids, right? Anyway, I just remember, like, since the last 20 years, like, just remember, like, how many times someone told me things like, man, I thought I grew up tough in Newark, but like I visited my family in like Haiti, or like, you know, or like, I just think we lose perspective. And I think you're right. Like, I didn't see my dad until I was 14 years old, even though he slept in the same home as me every night of my life. Wow. Because he left before I woke up and he came home after, and my mom didn't have a maid. My mom was the maid with 3 kids. Like, my mom never had any help. We didn't have a baby. I was never watched by a babysitter in my entire life. Like, we worked like real work. Yeah. And yeah, I think people are unbelievably soft to the ambition coming out of their mouth. You have to understand, if you tell me I don't want to work, I want to be on a softball team. I want to enjoy my weekends. I want to watch The Crown. I want to be good at fucking Angry Birds. I want to see my kids. I'm like, that's fucking great. That Mazel Tov, like, amazing. And if you want to make between $50,000 and $250,000 a year, I think a lot of people can achieve that depending on their job. You start creeping into like 3, 4, 5, 600 land, you're going to be an executive somewhere, and they're going to expect you to work for $3, 4, 5, $600,000 a year.
100%.
You start talking shit out of your mouth that you're going to make $1 million. The fuck do you think that looks like?
Yeah.
Like, there's no passive income.
You got to work for it. And Gary, you talk a lot about kind of the people that you surround with. They're kind of the reflection of where you're gonna go. And I was watching one of your videos where you said for like 2018, gain a friend, lose a friend. Yeah. Why? Can you share with our listeners why it's important to be careful who you surround yourself with? Yeah. So this is a tough subject matter, right? Because as soon as this content always comes out, people get mad at me. They're like, "Yo, why do you want me to drop my boy?" Like, I get it, right? Here's what I'm saying. I've been on a huge kick about self-awareness, like, you know, huge kick on mental strategies, you know, trying to find the fine line between being like what people think I am, like a motivation. You know, I'm scared because I don't want to be a motivational speaker. But I know if you only watch me on Instagram, or you could get tricked. And so I'm always like trying to find angles. And I've really been getting into strategy more and more. I'm like, oh, my mindset is my strategy. It's not like I believe in the secret. Like, if you're optimistic or positivity or you can do it. I think you can do it is important because it's a match. Like, rah-rah is important because it's a match. But I also know a week later, people like go back to their normal place. So I'm trying to think about marathon mindset. I think one of the biggest things is who the fuck you hang out with. Here's why. D-Rock, let's use him. I just think he's a different fucking dude hanging out with me for the last 3 years. And to be very honest with you, it's not even close. Like, watching certain insecurities, it's been game changing. Like, I watch people that are closest to me, like, when they come to me, build a lot of confidence because I have a lot of confidence. I'm rubbing off on them. I also watch how I change, whether it's my wife or Maribel or Marcus or Claude or whoever it may be, like, or my team or D-Rock. Like, I think about creative differently than I did 3 years ago because D-Rock rubbed off on me. That's what happened. You look at an old married couple, they're the funniest. I wish you could see it. Like, it's amazing what happens with couples. They like gel into each other, right? Like, and that's what happens. I think a lot of people hang out with somebody who's a negative vibe. And I just think that some people hang out with 4 negative vibes. So if your mom's negative, right? And your older sister's negative, and you have 2 negative best friends, fuck it, drop one of those 2 and go to the light and try to find the most positive person. It's just so obvious to me. I see it every day. There's people that either are trying to build you up because they're good. I'm popular because I'm so good inside
that I'm trying to build all of you up because I don't think it's coming out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to get mine.
100%.
And so I want you to be happy. And so then that makes me happy.
Yep.
But if you're sad, you're trying to bring people down. When somebody goes on my Instagram account and trolls me, I feel sad for them. When they tell me I'm ugly or stupid or I suck, like I have a lot of female entrepreneurs I'm an investor with, and like a lot of them like, Gary, I want to be like you, but when I go out there, I have to deal with all the women shit. And they're right? Like dudes are fucking gross. And then even if not dudes, you just see other women, like women bash women. And, I've been studying a little bit the last couple of months, like, why are you wearing that? I'm like, geez, that's super conservative. Like, that's like the dresses to the knee. Like, it's not even like, you know what I mean? But like, but it's all the same game. It's not women on women crime. It's not dudes being gross. It's people who are not in a good place trying to drag somebody else down.